Also, how creepy are those fucking zombies that eat your neck? Horrible.
Yeah, I always thought of them like humping my face, more like eating my neck. But because when you're like a kid, they do some sort of humping weird shit on you. But yeah,
It is.
yeah,
It's
there's a
horrible.
lot of humping involved.
Oh, the humping. Not a fan of the humping. Okay, guys. Welcome everybody to episode 57 of New Game Experience. My name is Juan Paolini and I am accompanied this time by two new guests on this podcast. Never been here before. I have on one hand, longtime friend from back in Caracas, Sebastián. Welcome, Sebastián, to the podcast.
Hi.
And then I also have newly acquired friend, also from Caracas. Are you from
No.
Caracas?
I'm not from
Okay,
Caracas.
not from Caracas. Okay, that's interesting. Carlos, welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Of course. And this is an episode that's going to be very, very interesting. This is another one of those ranking episodes that we like to do where nobody knows what the other one chose. But if you clicked on the video, you probably already know this is about our favorite video game soundtracks. And because, of course, since I'm going to be talking about soundtracks, what good is Christian here? He doesn't play an instrument. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even know if he plays an instrument. But I brought these two guys who they're both gamers, of course, which is, of course, a requisite. But they're also musicians. Sebastián has a YouTube channel where he reviews like guitars and pedals and all these things, which is called Mucho Bueno Gear, which I recommend everybody to check. Anything else you want to say about your channel?
Yeah, you're gonna have a blast if you don't speak Spanish because the whole channel is Spanish spoken. So you might want to turn the subtitles on because it's gonna be like a party for you. But yeah, Mucho Bueno Gear is a Spanish spoken channel, or now it's starting to become a community, gear related. Everything that revolves around guitars and pedals and amps and plugins. So that's basically what I do because I felt like that there was not a very huge community revolving around Spanish spoken things about gear. All the info was in English, so I decided to do this. But I am not bringing out a pedal or a guitar today. I am talking about games, so leave me be.
Okay, the only last thing I'm going to say about your channel is it's amazing. I've checked it out. I mean, you and I went into content creation probably at the same time, pandemic, we're one of those. And this guy has been into guitars since I've known him, and we've known each other for like 15 years or maybe more.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. And he's one of those nuts that he traded guitars for other guitars. And
Yep.
I don't even want to know how many guitars you've owned because probably that would make me upset.
Over
But you've
50.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm upset.
Nice.
George is upset. No, what's the joke? George is getting upset. That's the joke. Okay. And
when I
of
look at
course-
that number and I then see that there's a new instrument around that I really really want, I go into meme the Sheena, but it's not Sheena, it's the guy that goes disappointed. I love that one. Yeah. But let's talk about Carlos.
Yes, let's talk about Carlos. Carlos, what do you do? Give us a summary of what it is that your existence is about.
Okay. Basically, I'm not a musician. Like, it's my hobby, basically. From 2 years, 2 years ago, I got interested in music implementation and sound design implementation in video games. So that's what I've been doing the last 2 years, but as a hobby. Like, I don't work with audio. I just like it very much. And actually, I would love to live like working with audio and working with music, but sadly, my career choice, like, it's that way because I'm studying dentistry actually.
Oh, that's awesome. I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, I'm like a dentistry student that likes music very much. So yeah, that's me. And I mean, when you were talking about Sebastián channel, I was like, okay, I'm in because yeah, I love, like, I also have like 10. I've been working with guitars like from young age, like trying to make my own. Never did, but trying Also been trying to make my own pedal since last year, pandemic, you know. So yeah, sadly I failed, but I've been like trying to get into that, you know, get into gear talk forums and talking with people and getting to know more like this whole pedal industry and effects and everything. So yeah, basically that's me. Nothing too special, just a hobby music maker.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The only thing I would add to that is that you kind of mentioned that you weren't a musician because you treat it as a hobby. I mean, I think we've all like none of us are like studied musicians. We don't read music like at first sight or anything. So I would say that you're welcome into the hobbyist musician community without having to like
Thank
go
you very much.
through a bar.
I'm honored.
So,
I'm honored to be a part of your hobbyist musician community.
Yes.
Also, we're two mainly bass players, so
that yes, that is true.
that's important.
I wanted to acknowledge that from the beginning because this is actually one of the few times in history where bassists outnumber guitarists.
Yeah.
So
One of the few, for sure.
one of the few. The only other one is what's this Venezuelan band Vinilo Versus?
Vinilo
That's the
Versus.
other one.
Molotov.
They had two bassists.
Molotov, that's right.
Molotov also.
Yeah.
Royal Blood has no guitar.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
And then
that's
there's
one awesome band.
other examples like Seven Nation Army. These guys, what's the name?
The White Stripes.
Who don't have a bassist, and I just can't stand that.
Yeah.
George
Me
is
neither.
getting upset again.
Me neither. Oh,
Serenity now.
Serenity now! Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm rewatching Seinfeld right now, so I'm just like everything is so fresh in my mind. I love it.
Favorite show
So guys,
ever.
before every time, you know what? This is something that I told some friends a couple days ago. Anytime I find somebody who likes Friends more than a Seinfeld or doesn't even know what Seinfeld is, red flag, my friend.
it's possible.
Yeah, I don't
Like
trust
red
those
flag.
people. I'm sorry.
yeah, wait.
My girlfriend is one of them, and I don't trust her.
Oh, okay.
Do not.
No.
Whenever you like go to bed, lock your 50 guitars under, you know.
I always
sure he
sleep with
does.
one eye open. It's always looking at her like, what are you gonna do? Huh? Put some friends while I'm sleeping? Huh?
Who's that motherfucker? Chandler? Joey? Okay, guys. Before we go into the actual ranking, I just wanted to get a little bit of your guys' history with games so that we have like a little bit of context on like what you guys are about gaming wise, what you like. You don't have to go too much into detail if you don't want to, but let's just start going to the games area and fuse it with all these music talk that we're doing with Seinfeld. Let's not forget about Seinfeld. We can always include some Seinfeld in here. So let's start with Carlos. Give me a little bit of your gaming background. What do you like?
Okay, well, my first game ever was Zelda Link's Awakening on Game Boy. That was my first game played ever. So that was a good start. Basically, I like to view myself like I like all genres. Like I don't close myself in, I don't know, shooters or RPGs or whatever. But I do like I think I really like the RPG like community like as a whole. I did play a lot of World of Warcraft when I was in school, and I think that was really important for me, like the whole community making and share the progress between friends. And still today, like when I play single player games, I like to feel like I have like a group in the game. That's why I tend to go to like RPGs more than I don't know, Call of Duty or single player like linear games. But that doesn't mean I don't play those. But yeah, I think I really like more like, I think it will be like character driven games, like where they really develop the bonds between characters and like the family of the game. I think that's my my introduction of what I like.
Absolutely. What about you, Sebastián?
I've always said that I'm really only good at two things. One of them is guitar knowledge, and the other one is video games. And I'm not that good at video games, but it has always been like one thing that I really like got myself into very early as a child because I was not good at everything else. So video games always gave me the opportunity to be good at something and to always like try again and find myself in this safe space. So obviously, when you are that involved on video games, music plays a really big part of it, and that's like I wanted to start the podcast, but by saying that I was watching some of your stuff on the week, and you have this array of very smart information and people. And I was like, damn it, these guys are smart. And I was writing my script because I treated this as a video, and I wrote a script trying to sound smart, but truth is I am not really that smart, but I really like video games. So yeah, and music always plays different roles in video games. Not it started only like in bips and boobs, and then it conveys so much information, and that information always got to me in ways that I didn't understand, and maybe I truly do not understand right now, but I really love them, and I really love like great games with great music. And this episode was kind of special to me because of it. And I don't have like deep cuts and very quirky games but the things that I do and have on the list and the ranking is because of pure love. And the games that I really really like are basically every game. I my first game actually I had a Sega Master System that I was given to me by a cousin, and then my mom hid it away because I was playing too much. And then I started playing Super
Been
Nintendo,
there.
and that's when I dwelled into the depth of the Nintendo verse and never got out. And I really played the living crap out of Super Mario World, and it was a game that basically changed my life. And then um, the one that's on all the lists everywhere forever is gonna be Zelda Ocarina of Time. That was the game that blew me away and destroyed me and rebuilt me as a new person because of so many reasons. And yeah, and now I play basically everything on the house. My girlfriend is also a gamer, and we have basically we call what we call a very inclusive home. We have a Switch, a PS5, and an Xbox Series S. It's so fucking
I'm on
funny,
the
bro.
same boat.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I think that inclusiveness is very important because we need that diversity. That's awesome, man. I have the same thing back here. Like I skipped the Xbox One generation, but as soon as I saw what they were doing for the Series X and the S, I was like, I'm in, man. I think I've played my Series X more than the PS5 because Game Pass. I mean that's the thing. So
Yeah.
you were talking about the like how we tie these memories with music, and I think that that's very important because when I think about my top 5 video games of all time, not even soundtracks, it's hard for me to. I mean, it's not like I consciously think about this, but I think that unconsciously they're all tied to in some way or another to music. Maybe they don't coincide with my top 5 best soundtracks of all time, but they all have a relationship with music that is profound and that it sticks with me even years after. So I don't really have anything to add to that because you already put it very beautifully. So since you did that, you've earned the right to start with your first game. So go ahead, my friend Sebastian.
Okay, like I said, I treated this as one of my videos, so I made a script. I'm not gonna read the script, but what I did was categorize my choices because when I was writing about music in video games, I don't know if I realized, but I already knew that in some games, music fulfills so many roles, but sometimes one of those roles stand out the most. And so I categorize them. These categories are not like hard lines; they blur a bit because equally music has to convey so many of these roles at the same time. But this is the one that when I thought about this soundtrack and this game, this is the quality that was most outstanding for me in that specific order. So the first one that I chose, and I'm gonna goes. Do you want me to first mention the choice and then we talk about it, and then the honorable mention, or do I do the both at the same time?
Let's do first the title of the game, then we talk about it, and then we go like around the room and the
Okay,
idea is that we do one, and then Carlos does one, I do one, and then we
nice.
go back and forth like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one that I chose, it's because I find it so interesting, because the whole concept of what happened to the game and how it got so popular also applies to the music of it. And it's Doom from 2016, because for me, this is a great and beautiful example of how to really make a classic come into the modern era. And the music is a great example of it, because first you have this classic Doom track that is like, yeah, sort of 8-bit rock and metal that loops all over the place. But now you have like really modern 8-string metal music into the game, and it feels like a whole really current and actual right now experience. And also the music conveys more of the mood of the game, like gore and destruction and chainsaws and whatever. But when the game has to dial it back a little bit to convey some ambience, it does it so well. So you have like in your face kicks and kung fu, and then you have like ooh, but then more gore and kung fu, and how the music updated itself so well in this game. It's a beautiful example of what happened around in the whole game as a modernization of a classic.
I totally agree. This one is actually also on my list, so thank you. I love this when the lists collide. It's really cool. But yeah, I think that the music, if this game didn't have Mick Gordon, who's the composer behind it, I don't really think that it would have gotten as much of the reviews or the fanfare or whatever you want to call it. Like, it wouldn't be what it is. And the reason, other than the fact that it's really good, I mean, a lot of soundtracks are really good, but what makes this like stand out and elevate itself over others is that, as you kind of also pointed out, it meshes with the gameplay in such a way where this game is about, like, it's the antithesis of a Call of Duty. What happens in a Call of Duty? You aim down sights, and then you have to hide when you get hit. Blah blah blah. Here, one of the tutorial messages is like, never stop moving. If you stop moving, you're gonna die.
You die.
Exactly. So it's like, oh shit, this changes completely what I have to do. There's no reloading, so there's no like downtime. Like, there's no aiming down sights either. It's just like, dude, follow the rhythm that Mick Gordon brought from the depths of hell, and just go with it and go in the rhythm. And when you tune in to the rhythm of like, dash here, kill this demon there, stab that demon over there, pull the skull out of that other one, then jump, pa 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 pa, and it's all to the beat of the music. You go into a frenzy, which it sounds horrible, but we're killing demons, so it's like, okay, settle down. But it's so satisfying. It brings your adrenaline up so much. I remember I put this game just to show like modern graphics to a friend of mine who's not a gamer, and he was like, "This is cool, but I can't." he was like, "No, not this one." And I'm like, "Why?" And I think that was the reason why. Like, he got way too stimulated, and not everybody can handle it, my friends. What do you think, Carlos? Do you have anything to say about Doom? Carlos facts. I love me some Carlos facts.
Yeah, just to add to that, I don't know if you guys know, maybe yes, but the composition team worked tightly together with the implementation team of sound effects, and actually the weapons. If the song that's playing on the background is in D, in the key of D, the weapons, like the sound design of the weapon, is done so it doesn't. The harmony of the gun is actually working with the song at the same time. So yeah, wow. That's what when you talk about the song and how it implements so well into the game, it's like one big mesh of everything working together. Yeah, it's incredibly well done, and I think it should be like an example for anyone that wants to go into game development or to try to make music for video games, because you have to make your music work well with every element of the game. Because if not, maybe then you shoot your bazooka and it's like you everything goes to hell, literally and figuratively.
That's awesome. I really didn't know that, and I
Yeah.
I
love
didn't know
that
that
fact.
either.
I actually
So
when I was looking at some of the other games on the list, I was thinking like, actually, does anyone actually considers the key of the song versus the sound effects? And now you brought it in the first one, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. That actually
yeah,
happened.
and it
Makes
changes
sense.
between levels, and you don't even notice. But you never like when you're playing. There's not a point when you say, "Okay, this gun, I don't like how it sounds," because it's really, really like they tinker with every bit of sound so it works well with the music, and that's not easy at all. So
Not at all. That's
yeah,
amazing, and I love that we have this sound sound design guy here. I didn't know you were so into that, and I love it because you're gonna bring an amazing perspective to this conversation. So this is gonna be even better than I thought.
That was awesome.
So yeah,
Now
I
when I'm
love it.
playing a game, I'm gonna be like, hey, what's your bazooka tuned to? It's that D or D flat. Come
if
on,
it's Zoom,
get your.
it's drop C for
Dropsy.
sure.
Damn it, that was so cool.
Yeah, it's
But yeah,
awesome.
my top five, like I also like did a little like bullet points and everything. I tried to like focus on on implementation and how the songs
So
work with
great.
the game. So you'll see more of that in
That was
my
Awesome. Well,
so
it's your
so
turn.
great.
So go ahead with your first pick, my friend.
okay. My first pick is Banjo Kazooie from Grant
Ooh,
Kirkhope.
yes.
Grant Kirkhope is one
Yes.
of my like I'm a fan of Grant and all the music he's done. It's not only Banjo Kazooie but also GoldenEye and last World of Warcraft expansion, and well, millions of songs and everything. He's always really active on Twitter, publishing everything other companies reject. So it's really cool to just see what he does. Why Grant and why Banjo Kazooie? When you start Banjo Kazooie, like you start your Nintendo 64, you enter the game. First thing you see
Yeah.
is like the logo of the Nintendo 64 or the Xbox if you're playing on Xbox. But then what does the game do? The game like show you who are the main characters. Each of one of those main characters has an instrument. So Banjo has a banjo, Kazooie has a kazoo. Banjo's sister, I don't remember her name. She has a flute, and Mumbo with the marimba. This is really important because as you play the game, they use this tool to convey the message to you. Like if you enter to an empty room, you don't know who that room is, like who were in that room before. But the whole soundtrack, the orchestration of the music changes, and it's only flute. So you're like, oh, this is Banjo Sister room, and they do that so well and during the whole game that it's something like incredibly well done. And it's on a Nintendo 64. They didn't have Unreal or Wise or all the modern tools to do that. So you know what they do? Each of the levels have like a main motif, like a main melody that okay, this melody is from the Spiral Mountain level, and 5 tracks playing at the same time with a fader. So
Okay.
when you get inside the water, the fader changes to inside of the water track. And the inside of the water track, it's only marimba. Then when you jump outside of the water, the fader changes to you're outside of the water track. The marimba track is playing still, but it's just mute. And they do this a lot in the game. So as you play like in the levels and you change from area to area, the fader keeps moving between tracks and the orchestration keeps changing. And I find that so amazing. And it's done in a Nintendo 64. I mean, it's not like a super modern tools with you can change no, it's 5 tracks and a fader. That's it. Basically, what Grant did in that there's a really nice video I think of Game Grumps where Grant they interview Grant and he explains how he did that, and everyone went at Nintendo was like, we couldn't do that in Mario 64, so don't even try. And Grant was like, no, I'm doing that. I don't know how, but I'll do that. And he did. And it's amazing. And not only on the implementation side of things, also the compositions. Like Grant did something. He made the music with something called tritone. It's basically 6 semitones from the original note. That's a tritone, and it's really, really dissonant. Like if you go to a keyboard and play a tritone, it doesn't sound so well.
Yeah, it's like dee do,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And he did that because banjo and kazooie, they're not like similar at all. They're really friends, but banjo is like really like funny and chill, and kazooie is like really harsh and so he did this to like convey the message to the players, like sometimes different tones, like in the case of the music, can work together. Each of the songs of the banjo kazooie soundtrack, and also banjo tooie, work with tritones, and it's not easy to make these tones work well, like between them, but he did. And he did that 5 times for each level, because there's 5 different orchestrations for each one of the levels. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on and keep talking about Grant Kirchhoff and how he did everything, but I think, yeah, basically that's what I choose. Banjo Kazooie. It's I don't know. I started to play trombone because of Banjo Kazooie.
Oh,
Wow.
shit.
Wow, Juan.
I couldn't understand. Like there was some notes. I was like, what instrument is that? Yeah, trombone.
So
that's it.
do you remember like at the beginning of the episode when I said like you guys always have like these very smart people doing very smart stuff? Dude,
I was thinking the same thing. I was like Carlos and I have interacted like very little. We played together like Destiny a couple of times, and we have Christian and Fabio in common and stuff like that. But now it's like I'm so glad I invited him to this, because you're blowing my mind with all these facts. This is amazing. I love it.
I'm like, crap, I am so stupid. I'm so dumb. I'm gonna like Alt F4 and say my internet went bad because this guy is so smart.
I mean, there's nothing more complicated than effects and plugins and that world you're into. So I'm pretty like that's.
And what I was thinking when you were talking about Triton, I was thinking like, damn. So every mom and aunt in the 90s must have had a blast going with the devil's music on this game because of that Triton. They must have been like all over the place, like Banjo Kazooie is Satanist, and you're like, it's a bear and a bird. The Triton, yeah, that's so funny, dude.
And there's also a witch, so it's got witchcraft in it.
Witchcraft also. Oh my god.
What about the children?
Think about the children.
No, I am equally a little bit ashamed because I left myself for last, not because just because I was being polite for you guys, and I'm the worst because my analysis are not as good as yours, including Sebastián's. But I mean, I'm glad to have you guys here because this episode. I mean, we've only gone like, I don't know, a couple minutes, and this is already amazing. I love it.
It's amazing.
Okay, guys, I am gonna go with my first pick, which I think I'm gonna get the green elephant out of the room because I know we all have this one. Yeah, I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
I'm doing it. Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
I know we all have it in our lists. Yeah. It's obvious, and not only because it's amazing, but also because I kind of played a little bit of Psycho Mantis with you guys. Metal Gear. I kind of played Psycho Mantis with you guys because I sent you a video that I'm gonna link in the description of this episode, which is like a prog rock version of the Ocarina of Time soundtrack, which is one of the most amazing arrangements that I've ever heard out of like Zelda music and even prog music, because I'm a big prog rock fan, and this is one of the best albums I've heard. Truly amazing. And if you love Zelda, it's like the marriage of two things that you love. So yes, Ocarina of Time, of course, the composer Koji Kondo, who is a genius in Nintendo music and sound design. I'm sure you have a lot of stories about him, Carlos, because he's been with Nintendo since the beginning. Like he's done, I mean, maybe not all Marios, but most Marios. including maybe even Odyssey. I'm not really sure about that one, but he has also done like most Zeldas. I know the last Zelda he did I think was maybe Twilight Princess HD, and then like Breath of the Wild was handled by another team, which you can tell very like it's very obvious that he's not there in
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild. And this is not something, I mean, I love Breath of the Wild, but this is not a positive thing that I'm saying. Because, I mean, I understand that the use of music in Breath of the Wild is different. They imbue it into the design in a different way where it's kind of like an indicator of a situation more than an actual like audio landscape. But I mean, I love Koji Kondo's work so much that I just miss it. And this happens with me with a lot of different things in Breath of the Wild, but we're not going to be talking about Breath of the Wild. Let's talk about Zelda Ocarina of Time. I know it's in all of your lists, so let's start with Sebastián. Sebastián, what can you say about Ocarina of Time? What can be said that hasn't been said in the world about this amazing soundtrack?
On my list, Ocarina of Time was at the last because of all the categories. Ocarina of Time tick all the boxes for me. So, I mean, it is first, it is so extensive. There is so much music in that game. And the thing about the music in Ocarina of Time is that every piece delivers a message. Some pieces do it very more obvious than the others. For example, when you go to Gerudo Valley, it's very obvious what they're trying to convey there. But that music is so good. That song is so good. But then you go into things like, I don't know, for example, the when you're in the Kokiri Forest, the music is saying a lot of things to you, and you're barely starting the game. And the huge like clash there is, the big difference that when you are in the Kokiri Forest and then you go into the Deku Tree, there is such a huge difference, and there is such a different message being portrayed there. Now you're in this happy, really like childish place. Everyone is like this little elfy kids and thing, and then you go into the Deku Tree and you're like, yeah, there are no more fantasies here. There's something wrong here. It's like creepy and big and spacious, even though when you saw the tree from outside, it was not that big. So Ocarina of Time has so many great things, and it is so memorable. I mean, for me at least, and from not a very very Carlos smart way of thinking point of view, a great soundtrack for me has to be a lot of things. One of them has to be memorable, of course, but the other one is it kind of blends itself into the game in ways that you don't actually expect it. You do not feel the soundtrack there. So when you're opening a chest in Zelda, the music is saying a lot of things. It's playing with you. It's like, this is the anticipation. Are you actually going to get the hook shot, or is this time the compass? What is it gonna be? Hell yeah, it's the compass again. Woo! Keep
It's
playing.
always the compass.
It's always the compass. And that little piece that plays when you find an item, there is so much great music on Ocarina of Time. It is so wanderlusty. The Hyrule Field music. It's like, this is for some of us one of the first, if not the first, forays into the 3D world of video games. So when you go into that Hyrule Field music, you feel like you're in something that's even bigger than yourself and even bigger than wherever you've ever been. And you've been to a lot of places. You've played Final Fantasy, you've played Mario, you've played a lot of things. But now you're in a very huge thing. I mean, and I could go on and on. I mean, Shadow Temple music, it's incredible. Forest Temple, Fire Temple, Water Temple, every temple apparently. But then also like the little pieces. I mean, Zelda's song is such a soothing, calming piece. It's something like you feel like your mom has just made you your favorite lunch. It is a Saturday afternoon. It's such a great piece of music. Then you have like Saria's song. I mean, the Song of Storms. I mean, there are so many great pieces on it. I mean, for me, Zelda Ocarina of Time has always been my favorite game in such a way that I every year complete the game at least one time because I really love that game, and I still get the wonder thingy and the curiosity thingy and the hairs on your arm and whatever, because there are so many great things about it. But the soundtrack to me always stand out as a really great masterpiece. And Koji Kondo is a master. And when you mentioned Koji Kondo versus Breath of the Wild, I think that those are two very different like schools of thought on how you design a soundtrack. Koji Kondo is like more forward in your face, but in a way that it melts into the gameplay in such a masterful way. And now I'm gonna stop talking because I want to hear Carlos talk about this. But I mean, Zelda Ocarina of Time, I've basically devoted my entire life to that game because I love it so much. It's such a great game. I mean, Ganondorf's music, it's like, this is such a great evil piece. And then the castle, no, I can continue all day. I mean, this is like a delicate subject for me.
Carlos, what do you have to say about this masterpiece of a game and a soundtrack?
You know, when you listen to an album of your favorite artist and it's a really good one, like you don't skip any song. Like, whoa, I didn't skip anything. I think that's Zelda's music in general, Koji Kondo's music in general. When I was making the list, I of course went through Ocarina of Time, but I was like, Koji Kondo should be the you know he should be the one on the list, because if you go Wind Waker, for example, wow, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, and you listen to the song before, like in the main menu, and you already know you're on an island. I don't know how he does that, but you're like, okay, yeah, there's someone fishing close from here, and it's like he's a genius doing that. And in Ocarina of Time, of course, he does it from start to finish. Like he works really, really, and also this interesting thing about Koji Kondo composition progress.
Carlos facts.
Carlos.
He listened to like a lot of Chick Korea, like his music, and he tried to make something that could work like like a standalone soundtrack. Like, I want this to be a really good piece of music outside of the game. So if you listen to the Lost Woods song, and then you listen to Spain by Chick Corea, you'll see what I mean. I mean, when we finish recording this, do that exercise, and you'll see, like,
I will.
Wow. Okay, now I understand. So yeah, basically you two guys already said everything I could say about the game. I just wanted to let that fact out there. So yeah, Koji Kondo.
I had to write that down because I really want to make that comparison, because I love those little tidbits. And yeah, just to finish this topic off, which I think is like like you can see in our faces how much this fills us with joy and everything, and I just love it. But like, the other thing I love is that this game fuses music with gameplay in a very different way than Doom, for example. Because Doom, it's about like the rhythm, the locomotion, rhythm is the word, because it's not only a rhythm of like a musical rhythm, it's also the rhythm of the fight, the rhythm of the pacing and all that. Here, and in most Zeldas, at least my favorite Zeldas, there's always a very important relationship with music. You always have to learn songs and play them. And in this case, like, how boring is it when you open up whatever Ubisoft game and you fast travel from place A to place B, and it's just like waiting for the loading. Okay, I'm back. Here, you have to memorize a song. I mean, I memorized them. I know that maybe in the 3DS version, there's a way where you can like autoplay it, but that's for psychopaths. I play it because I memorize it, and I play it because I think that's the way to do it. And I think we can all maybe even remember the button prompts. Like I remember like what's in the Torori Rain song.
Yeah.
I know it's A down up. I'm never gonna forget that. And the fact that you have to, like, even if you're not a musician, you don't have to be a musician, but it's there and you have to interact with it. I think it's kind of forcing the player to go through something that is going to enrich them in ways that they don't even realize. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that is just a genius way to, like, make the player have a face to face with the music that normally they wouldn't. Because it's one thing to say like, oh, that's a cool melody, and it's another thing to have to memorize the melody and have to come in contact with it to do things that, like, for example, I want to get to the fire temple, so it's like bing boom bing boom bing boom bing boom boom, and you go there, and it just becomes a thing, and I love it. I mean, I think that in terms of like music implementation, that is one of the best ones, and I believe the worst one. And I love this game. I'm not shitting on the game. I'm just saying that the music implementation where you play the music in the game, Skyward Sword is like the laziest, because you don't even have to like do much. It's kind of more, it's even less work than the Wind Waker thing, which it was already kind of very simplified, but it was still cool. And so yeah, I mean, and also just to close this topic, how fucking creepy is that Shadow Temple and with the music?
Yeah, dude. No, what I was wanna say before you close it is that's one of the things that not only on this game, but this game is such a great example of it. But why music in games is also so powerful is because you don't have to be a musician to actually get the message. I mean, I am not thinking about tritons and major fifth and whatever, but when I listen to these melodies and these intervals happening, there's something in me that recognizes them, and even the flow of it, the ascending and descending motions of the intervals and whatever's happening is conveying a message to you. Those always talked about when you start to learn music, like major is happy and minor is sad. You feel that, and you don't have to know major is happy, minor is sad to know that there's music that's gonna hit you in a way. And I mean, it happens in the best pieces of audiovisual content. Try to consume Star Wars without the music. It's, I mean, I love Star Wars, but if you take the music out, it's kind of lame, because there are so many themes that convey so many messages to you that maybe you don't even think about them. But you go like, yeah, look, it's like, or Leia is like this, and it's because of the music. It's saying something to you that the subtitles and the screen and the script is not telling you. So Zelda has so many of these little moments, like that sun song that is so ascending, and it's like, and you go like, whoa, and then it's suddenly day, and you're like, what it's so good. I love it. I really love this game.
Yeah, and just to
we should make an episode just about Zelda.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we've already spent a lot, and I'm loving it. I'm not gonna cut it short just for whatever. I just think it's amazing. And yeah, also, how creepy are those fucking zombies that eat your neck? Horrible.
Yeah, I always thought of them like humping my face, more like eating my neck. But because when you're like a kid, they do some sort of humping weird shit on you. But yeah,
it is. It's horrible.
There's a lot of humping involved.
Oh, the humping. Not a fan of the humping. Okay, guys, let's go with the next. Oh no, wait. I did want to say one thing. Just what you were saying about like if Star Wars didn't have a soundtrack, it wouldn't be as much as it is. I feel that the music is responsible for conveying emotions in movies. I mean, in games as well, but in games we've already covered, and Carlos has already given us information about how more complex it can be. In movies, it's all about, to me, about emotions and atmosphere and all that. Do you know what movie would not be like even a fraction of what it is? It wouldn't even be like 10% of what it is. Think of The Shining without music. That movie would be crap, like total garbage. And we have all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Like even that without music would be garbage. I'm sorry.
You're getting yourself in murky terrain.
You know what? After the last episode that I did, which I don't know if you saw what it's about, it had so many hot takes that there's no way I could make it worse. There's no way. So let's go with Sebastián's next game, please.
Okay, I'm gonna first apologize here because I'm gonna cheat. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna mention my honorable mention that wasn't my Zelda point. We're not going to talk about it. And then I'm going to mention my next option, and we're most likely to talk about this. And most likely, Carlos has some juicy facts about this one because it is incredible. I'm already warning you. Maybe you all had it on your list, hopefully. So what I'm going to put as an honorable mention here is the music from the first two generations of Pokemon Game Boy games, the Red and Silver games. They convey such beautiful stories about the city. The combat music is amazing. Pokemon, I mean, it has some really great music. The Elite Four combat music, the trainer music games and everything. It's great. But we're not talking about it because I really like it, and I could go on and on. But I have two great ones, but I'm gonna choose one. And if when we loop over, if no one mentions, I'm gonna say the other one. Cuphead. Cuphead is such a
Oh,
masterpiece in amazing music, and it does. Carlos probably has the greatest and more accurate information about this, but Cuphead does a lot of great things on the implementation because the music pieces, I think, and Carlos is gonna correct me with his "you see Carlos" facts, but it has like huge, like these huge music pieces, like jam sessions that even though the level has its own theme, when you like start it again and you continue, it's looping over, but technically it is not. There are some small changes here and there, so it makes it feel fresh, like a jamming in this specific piece in this very long amount of time. So when you go over the level, because let's face it, you're going to go over the level again because you're going to die. This game is hard. It's really hard. I have not finished it yet. I am not that good at it, but
I did.
the music is so great. And what it also does for me, the music in here, is that it makes the whole concept of the game as a whole. You're playing this beautiful art style, hand drawn, like 40s, 20s, whatever cartoon era style you're playing. And then the music is not like current music, actual music from like now. You're into this deep sensorial time travel moment with Cuphead, and you're in like you're not here right now. You're there, and the music does such a great way of doing that. Like in this parallel universe that we had video games in the 20s, this is exactly what would happen. It is, oh, and also the music is like just if you're going to cook, just listen to the soundtrack. It's amazing. It's so good. So I really love Cuphead music. I mean, this is like when you have this gourmet plate of food at a restaurant that has this beautiful intricate, like this is the art style now, and this is the whatever, and this is the animation. Just the music is like that sprinkle of sauce that always does some kind of a drawing beautiful, like and it closes it beautifully. So Cuphead to me is like such a very full creative way of doing what it needed to be done. It's perfect for it. Now with the Carlos,
Before we go to Carlos, I have to say something. A brawl is surely brewing. Go ahead, Carlos. It's your turn.
Great. Okay. First of all, I haven't played Cuphead. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Second, I do know everything about Cuphead music.
I knew it. I knew it.
So the first time, so when they were like developing the game, they knew it was like a difficult game. So you'll keep playing the same level over and over and over. So they had in mind, like when making the music, they had to make it to so it won't tire you, you know. And you can see this mostly on child games, like when there's like Lego games, for example, the target audience it's kids. They're pretty good, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
mainly kids. So they know maybe they'll have like a hard time uh, beating the level, and they know you yeah, like the mom will be doing whatever thing she's doing in the house or the dad or whatever. So they did, like if you listen to the music on the Lego games or also in Mario, it's you never like it's so well done. Like when it's not only a loop, but when the song finish, like the scale or whatever it's called, the progression, like it blends so well that you think it's like 1 10-minute song and not a 1 minute song going over and over and over. They did this in Cuphead, but much better because it's like a big jam session of a big, I don't know, jam
Jazz.
band,
Yeah.
yeah, jazz band. So each time the loop repeats, there are tiny arrangement changes like in the songs that they're tiny, but you notice them. Like it's not like it's a full different song, but it's like banjo. They change like the arrangement of the song each time you repeat the same section. I haven't experienced it myself, but I know, like I have talked about this with friends because they're always like, "You have to play this because it's amazing." So I do know, like when they composed the music and implemented the music into the game, that was like a really important thing for them. Like people will play this level 100 times. We need to make it fun to listen to the same piece of music 100 times. This is the same thing From Software do with Demon Souls and Dark Souls, but they took another completely opposite direction. So the direction they do is, let's do our music as simple and not, well, I won't say not good, but you don't even notice the music when you're playing Dark Souls or Demon Souls. It's like ambient music, like 100% ambient. This is not a bad thing, but I think it's a cheap way to solve the issue that you'll be hearing the same thing over and over and over again. I do like Demon Souls music. I haven't played Dark Souls. I played Demon Souls, the original, and
The
the
remake?
remaster. Incredible. Play that. So if you need help, I want to play it again. So yeah, I think it's really important to address that when you're doing a game that's difficult, because imagine playing, I don't know, one of those difficult Doom levels. You know what I'm talking about. And you're playing that same little room with 100 demons again and again and again and again, and you put the game back into normal difficulty, and you're still dying. And if the song is bad, you're not playing that more than five times in a row. You're like, wow, I can stand this. So yeah, I know Cuphead did that like perfectly, and I have to play it. I have to play it because I want to experience it myself, and that's it.
Well, as always, the Carlos segment of the soundtrack was amazing. The only disappointing part is that you haven't played it. So bad,
You
bad
you
Carlos.
lose 10 Carlos points because of it.
I have to gain them again.
But just to be fair, with all the things you've told us, you've already won like 500. So 10 is not
Yeah,
that
Oh,
bad.
okay. Okay.
yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm,
So it's
I'm
You're
still
okay.
green.
You're in the
Exactly.
Carlos side of the Carlos scale. The good Carlos.
Spectrum, yeah. Speaking of the Carlos spectrum, what's your next game?
Okay. You see this ghost here, and that one, and this right here.
I recognize the one on the bottom. Yes, that's
You
Emil.
recognize this?
Yes.
This is Emil. Emil is a character from Nier, from the franchise of Yoko Taro's. Nier has like two main games, Nier Automata and Nier Replicant or Gestalt. I know Juan hate that game, but
I hated the PS3 version. I haven't played Replicant.
you'll hate it. But yeah. But okay, let me start with something here. You know, when I was talking about Banjo and how grand Kirkhope was like, we need to make this work well with the game, and he was like telling Nintendo, I'll do this. I can make this work like 5 tracks at the same time. Now imagine the same thing, but with a full orchestral piece, and it's not 5 track, but 100. And now imagine these 100 tracks. It's not just a fader, but 50 plugins, changing all the settings of each plugin as you walk through the world map. And now add to this that as Grant Kirchhoff in Banjo, he did these very simple melodic constructions because it was a game for kids. So doing arrangements to a simple song, it's easier because I don't know, you have like a pim 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 pim. You change one note and it's a total different arrangement. Keiichi Okabe, the composer of Nier, and Monaka, his company, I think, they did this with really, really intricate and complicated songs. Basically, they're classical music pieces. And when Yoko Taro went to Keiichi Okabe to make the music for Nier, he told him like, you do you, like you have complete liberty, like creative liberty to make this music as you like, but the only thing I need you to do is like every single song needs vocals. That's not usual in video game music at all. But not only vocals. Near universe, it's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years in the future. So Yokotaro explained itself in, like he says our language wouldn't like exist as it is in that long, like far away future. So he told Keiichi to tell, I have the name here, Amy Evans, the vocalist, to create like how she would think, like what our language, or Japanese in that case, will sound like in a distant future. So every song of the Nier soundtrack, it's actually a synthesized language that doesn't it's not Japanese. People think it's Japanese. It's not Japanese. That it's created. I mean, it's a created language, and it's not random babbling like blah, blah, blah. No. Amy Evans, she's the singer. She didn't have to do this, but she went and like create vocals, like and how they work together, and she used this in each one of the songs. So I mean, just that, like just that fact is enough for me to put this like high on the list. But there's also a thing that also does another game that I will tell you about later. He does
I
the
have, I have,
oh
sorry, I
yeah.
have a juicy Carlos fact right now before you go into the next topic, or you continue being awesome. The first time that anyone did this huge amount display of vocal skill and language skill was when Katy Perry did her soundtrack for The Sims, and she had to sing her songs in Simlish. You can
I
go on
didn't
now,
know that.
Carlos.
I didn't know that.
Because I don't know, I don't remember when I was watching YouTube, and I just saw the example, and there was a take of Katy Perry singing of It's Friday Night or whatever in Simlish, and it was the most absurd and stupid thing I've ever watched, and I have watched a lot of stupid things, but this was like this one took the prize. Now you can continue with the
I
Carlos
didn't
segment
know
of the
that.
show.
I mean, the only band I know did something like this is Sigur Rós, because they sing in this half Icelandish created. They call it Hopelandic, I think. But yeah, um, every single song of the Near Automata soundtrack, Automata and also Replicant, because it's basically one big game.
Yep.
It's in minor key, but they're happy. There are happy songs there in minor keys, and that's not easy. And they do that so well. Like you're always in this moody kind of post-apocalyptic, sad, I don't know, like atmosphere. But there are also happy moments when you're dying in a post-apocalyptic world. So they make that little pieces work in the context of the game, because it will be weird to have them I don't know, major key song in the middle of a, I don't know, famine in this horrible world. So they do the happy songs in minor. That's cool. And also another thing I think it's really good. This game is really good at is that, let's say, this is on the implementation part of the game. Let's say you enter a level. This is on near. If you haven't played Near Automata, please play it. Give it a chance, just for the music. But if you entered a level, let's say the song for that level has 100 layers, for example, and you start to enter the level, and first you hear the percussion, dun, 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 and you keep getting into this place where you're seeing everything what's happening, and the layers keep adding up, boom 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 boom, until you start to fight the final boss. Like it doesn't stop adding to the music. When you get to the final boss, what was the last 15 minutes you've been walking through that level, you like the game tells you, well, this was the introduction for the boss fight song, and explodes, and then you're fighting this boss, and it's the boss that's singing, and you're like, whoa. And when you get like, if you run away from the boss, you stop listening to the vocals from the song.
But
So you just,
are you talking about the level in Automata where it's like a carnival and
yeah,
there's
that's
okay.
that's the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one. Also, something that's really cool about that level is that that boss, like, she doesn't want to be seen because she has this self-awareness. Like, she wants to be human, and she's not. So each time you try to move your R3 towards the boss, and you can't. There's no way in that boss fight to see directly, to move the camera towards the boss. And if you try that too much, she just like one shot kills you. Like, stop trying to be human. I want to be human. And there's a lot of things like this in Nier in the game. Like, the first, this is not about music, but I want to tell because I love this. I love this game. The first level in Nier Replicant, Yoko Taro's game go really like, he wants to tell people that killing is bad and you shouldn't kill. Like people who kill in games or not, everywhere, are broken, and that's Yoko Taro point of view. Also, I think Kojima in Metal Gear, there's a scene that I don't remember who, but he looks towards you, a boss, I think, and tells you, this is what you like, right? Killing people, and it's like he's talking to you as a player. So Yoko Taro does this a lot, and in the first level of Nier Replicant, when you're playing, you have like 20 enemies and you kill them all. Actually, you don't have to kill them. When you play the game, they don't even attack you. They're just chilling there, and you kill them because automatically, because you have played so many games before. You know, those are the bad guys. I have to kill them. And as you play the game, you see how broken you are as a player because you think that way. Like, why did I kill that monster thingy just because it was standing there? So the music does that really, really well. Like, when you listen to the music, it's the same message. Like, you're listening to a minor key song that should be sad, but it's happy. And it's like this, he takes Keiichi Okabe takes the ideas, the preconceptions you have about music, and change it so well. I mean, I could go on talking about this. Also, the last song of the Nier Automata game, this is a spoiler, so I won't tell too much, but basically every one of the members of the team did like a part for that song, and it plays a big part of what happens into the game. So yeah, I can't talk too much about that, but play Nier. Look at this
Yes,
ghost. Super cute.
yes,
Super
yes.
cute.
I mean that one's not that cute, I gotta say, but you should still play Nier. Now, I mean, I have nothing else to add. I did play that game. I thought it was really, really amazing. For some reason, it's one of those games that, you know, I don't know if this happened to you guys, that you play something or you watch something or whatever, you know this is a masterpiece, but it's not a masterpiece that is specifically talking to you. But objectively, you know it's a masterpiece. You know what I mean? This happened to me with both. Well, not with Replicant because I haven't played it and I have PTSD from the PS3 version. But the Automata, I played it. I enjoyed it. However, I wasn't like it would have been my game of the year, but not because I didn't like it. It's because it didn't 100% resonate with me, but I still think it's amazing. So yes, play it.
It's my game of the decade. I
Oh.
don't hear Juan.
Okay, guys, before we move on, I have to make a little clarification about Cuphead. We did not mention the composer's name. His name is Christopher Madigan. So there you go. I think it's only fair that we mention the names. I'm talking about you, Sebastián. It was your
I'm
pick.
sorry. I didn't research the name because I did my homework yesterday. I was very tired, and I was just trying to condense 50 games into five. So beyond Koji Kondo, I know there are some other incredible people, but one, I just remember Koji Kondo, and two, I suck, and I know I am not Carlos. What do you want
Don't
me to
worry.
Now I
do?
I
have a little list right here. I don't know that names. I don't remember those names.
don't worry. As you guys are talking, I'll research it and I'll insert it when I can. So don't worry.
That's why we
I'm just
have
kidding.
Carlos.
That's what we have, Carlos. Yeah,
Don't give
that's
me that. No, please. Don't give me that responsibility, please.
okay, guys. It's my turn again, and I'm gonna select a game that is probably on your list. I'm not really sure, but it's Final Fantasy VII. This is a game that, I mean, we've all been gamers for tens of years. It's impossible that you haven't heard of this game, even though there are more than 15, because I mean, we are up to 16 now, but there's still like interstitial ones. So it's like, I don't know, 20 plus games. But of the series, one of the most important series by Square Enix. And this is highly regarded as one of the top ones, like one of the highlights of the entire franchise. And I hadn't played it because I never owned a PS1. So because I knew that the remake was coming, which I finished last night, by the way, I set out on this path to finish the original one because it's now on Switch. I mean, it's been on Switch for years, but I played it in 2019 on Switch because I wanted to have context. I wanted to be able to compare the old version with the new version and see what's going on there. The answer is there is a lot going on there, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but they're two different games. And I'm saying that as a good thing. Like, these guys said, we're going to do something different, and I am super excited about a sequel because it's got nothing to do with the one from 1997. Sorry, not 1997. And so the reason why I'm mentioning this is because the previous game I mentioned was Zelda Ocarina of Time, which we all not only love, but have deep, deep, deep nostalgia for. And I'm not going to go and say that the nostalgia is the only reason why we love that game, because that's not true. It's objectively amazing and all the things we said. But nostalgia does play a percentage in that love. I mean, it can't not. It's Nintendo. They only focus on kids and nostalgia is grown-up kids, so it's kind of the same. So I was thinking, am I going to love this game because it's more than 20 years old? Even at that point where I played it, it was 22 years old, and I didn't have any context for it because, as I said, I didn't have PS1. Turns out I loved the game, and even more than the game itself, it was the soundtrack. I fell in love with this soundtrack, and you know, we are big gamers. We play tens of games a year. I'm not gonna say hundreds because I think that's exaggerating, but tens of games. And it's hard for a game nowadays to stick with you in that way as like a Ocarina of Time. And this game, I don't know if Ocarina of Time level in terms of how it hit me, but it hit me very, very hard. And of course, one of the things that I was most excited about the remake was listening to the music again with new versions and orchestrations and arrangements and everything. And this did not disappoint. So the original composer was Nobuo Uematsu, who is a legend in Square Enix. He's done, I mean, Final Fantasies up the wazoo. He did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And maybe that's where he stopped, if I'm not mistaken. And then he also came back for this one, even though he's not necessarily directly connected to Square Enix anymore. And then, of course, there are others like Masahi Hamautsu and Mitsuto Suzuki who helped with this, and they've all also been like doing Final Fantasy 13 and all these things. So these are three like seasoned composers. Of course, Nobuo Uematsu is like the biggest pillar here, and I think the actual composer of most of the tracks. And guys, I gotta say, if you haven't played if you played the original, that's amazing. If you played the remake, I know you haven't played it, Carlos, because we've spoken about it, and I really want to get your take once you do play it, because not only is it an amazing game, but I'm gonna like focus in only on the music. These melodies, it's not like it's one or two that stick with you. It's like The evil theme sticks with you, which is very somber and very serious. The earth theme is one of the most famous ones. Then you have the battle themes, which are also amazing, and they have so many variations and orchestrations around it. The bombing mission, which is the first level, also has a really, really cool music. Like, as I said, it's not like I've played Final Fantasy VII million times like Ocarina, and I still like these melodies went deep into my subconscious, and they grabbed the whole building. They evicted all the Ubisoft content that was there
No.
and whatever, and they said we're gonna live here, and they live there, and it's amazing. I love it. So I don't know if you guys have played this game /S, because it's kind of two games. If you have something to say, let's start with Sebastián. Do you know anything about Final Fantasy VII?
I'm a little bit on your side. That I grew up on Nintendo, so I never had a PlayStation. I played very few PlayStation games, but I mean, like going to a friend's house and whatever. So I'm on the disappointment for gamer side that I've never played Final Fantasy VII. But this is one great example of how sometimes music just reaches you and sticks to you, because I know I've listened my fair share of Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I played the demo for the 7th remake when it came out. I really want that game. I don't know why I haven't bought it yet. I really want to play it, but the music is something that I don't know why. I don't know how it got to me, but I mean, I've listened to a lot of Final Fantasy VII soundtrack, and it is amazing. I don't know where it goes. I don't know what's happening in the game when it's doing it, but it is such good music, and that speaks to me in ways that the impact that it has, still being an over 20 whatever years old game, it's because music. I mean, great music. It transcends time, and there are great examples of game that does this. I mean, for example, it is not on my list, but Mega Man for me is a great example of awesome, incredible music that was done eons ago. And I mean, it's 8-bit music, but Mega Man music is so good. It's so catchy, and there have been a lot of games over the years that have come and go, and Mega Man music just still comes out to me as a great example of timeless one. And Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is one of those. Um, I don't know why, but it took me to places where now I'm thinking of Golden Sun and it's great music, but that's another topic, and I want to hear Carlos talk about Final Fantasy VII.
Hey, yes, no, but Golden Sun, I think they have a lot of influence from Final Fantasy VII, because
Yeah, of
when I
course.
played it, I was like, I mean, I'm a big Golden Sun lover, and I felt that similarity 100%.
Yeah.
Carlos, do you have anything to say about Final Fantasy VII?
No.
Okay. I want to have you back for when you play it, because I need you to Carlos this really well.
I mean, we can do a Final Fantasy VII episode, because I haven't played it yet. So I mean, when that
Yeah, we should
happens, I'm
play it
in.
and then we do one.
Yes. The
I
only thing I
played the
have to
first
say.
one. I played the
Oh,
first one.
you did play the. Okay,
But-
that's important.
Yeah, but
that's important.
like you guys, I grew up with Nintendo. I didn't have a PlayStation 1. I had a GameCube, not a PlayStation 2. So I played like on a not very good laptop, and like I didn't enjoy the game that much because it was buggy, and I couldn't play it like it was meant to be played. So
Sure.
when I knew that the game was coming back for Nintendo Switch with the original version back to Nintendo, I tried to play it, but that was 2019, I think maybe. I didn't have much time for RPGs at the time, so I couldn't like get into the game. And then the remake actually was close to like, I mean, it was released the same year, I think, the
2020.
2020. Wow, yeah. And I was like, okay, I won't touch this. I will play the remake. I haven't played it yet, and I'm so scared about spoiling myself that each time I see like why the Final Fantasy music is so, I don't even open the link to like I don't know anything about the game because I don't want to know anything about the game. It's like,
You should do that. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
You should not open those
I
links.
want to
no.
go in without knowing, like, blind. And
Yes.
that's why I don't. Well, I did play Final Fantasy 14, the online one,
Hmm.
and they have music from Final Fantasy 7, but
Oh,
uh, I'm not sure which of the songs I like is from Final Fantasy
sure.
7. So yeah, I have nothing to say.
No worries. I will have you both back when you both play the remake, and we'll do a spoiler cast and also a music cast of the game. I would love to do that if you guys are inclined.
I mean,
Okay, Sebastian, it's your turn again, my friend. So go
I
ahead.
just want to say that I love that Carlos didn't have anything to say. I feel like this. I want to dedicate this small victory to all of us regular guys. I'm with you. I'm an average person, just as you. And today we have won against the smart ones. We are not alone. We are just average.
We have seen that Carlos too is human.
How the mighty have
you,
fallen, we
you've
say.
seen my real side.
Yeah. So for this one, this is my other pick on the same category that I put Cuphead on, with which is music as a complement to storytelling or overall concept of a game, and that is one incredible implementation of music on the creative side. And I really wanted to go to another category, but I really love this one, so I'm gonna go on the same topic. And my main pick for this category was Bioshock Infinite. Bioshock Infinite is one of my favorite games ever. The Bioshock saga is one of my favorite sagas ever. I know that two is not that great, but if you give it a try, it grows
It's
on you.
good.
It's
It's
really good,
good.
actually. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's not the first. That is the
Yeah.
problem. You're comparing it
Yeah.
to this amazing thing. So, what the Bioshock music, Infinite music, does to me, and why I think it is so good, it's it is a masterclass in clever ways to add, because not only to the atmosphere in the game and whatever, or world building, that this, I mean, you have this beautiful thing that is Colombia, this marvelous floating thingy, whatever. But the music is not only putting you in this time and place, and with all of this period of time things that is happening around you, but when you listen to the music, your first contact to this soundtrack, you immediately start to suspect that something is not right, because it is a song that is from another, like, timeline, from your timeline, you people, you person playing the game, but it's done in a different way. So you start encountering these little beautiful pieces of music that do not shouldn't belong to Colombia, and you're wondering, wait, I've listened to this before. And you go on your journey, and this is beautiful, and this is horrible, and this is sad, and you shoot people and whatever. And you then another piece of music, and you encounter it, and you're like, no, I've actually listened to this one. I did it. And there is something always going on the back of your head that's telling you something beyond everything that you already know, that it's not right. It's really not right. And the game then introduces like this box of phones or whatever, that it's telling you in small bits of chunky pieces how in this whole story that music fits in. I don't want to spoil anything. You should have already played the game if you haven't, because it's amazing. But the payoff for it comes a full circle in such a rewarding way, because it's tied so close to the story, that, I mean, that message right there, that these little tiny covers that are happening, it's such I mean, I love it. So when that happened for me at the first time, it sparked this huge Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan, when he did that one good movie, great moment of eureka, that was like, oh. And then the game explodes, and your mind explodes with it. It is such an amazing feeling. I mean, people always go on the internet talking about, if you could erase your memory to live one thing for the first time again, I mean, yeah, Red Dead Redemption and God of War, but Bioshock Infinite for me is like that one thing, and it's in such a high regard place to me that it's a game that I've played over 15 times, and I still love it, and it still looks quite good for me. So Bioshock Infinite and its music, it's something that I really hope that we have some Carlos juicy facts for it because I love it so much. Carlos facts.
Before the Carlos Juicy Factors, the composer's name is Gary Scheiman.
Thank you.
I guess this is another win for humanity because I haven't played
Yes!
Bioshock Infinite. And I'm not. I mean, I did play the first two. I really
Okay.
like them. The
Okay.
the I mean, the first one. Wow, amazing. But I didn't play the second one because at that point I didn't like the change of like atmosphere, or I don't know what you call it. So when I saw it was not on the same setting, I was like a little throwback, like, I'm sad now, and I didn't play it. But now I want to play it
I can assure
because
you, Carlos,
yeah,
you are not going to be disappointed. I cannot say anything else, and thank the God that I did not spoil the game.
Yeah.
I implore you, I'm begging you. I will give you my Steam key for you to play this game. I don't care. This is something that I really think that
Yeah.
if you've enjoyed at least the first one, the third Infinite, it's gonna blow your mind. I believe. For me, it's
I,
one
I
one
just
of my favorite games. Yeah.
I just have one question. Carlos, do you enjoy Christopher Nolan movies?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
This is like Bioshock, to me, this is like Bioshock meets Christopher Nolan, in
Okay,
my
that
experience.
sounds for me pretty good.
Yes. Okay. Speaking of you, let's go with your next pick.
Okay, before I talk about my next pick, I just want to add a little, like, I had this written down for when we talk about Zelda, and I forgot. Link's Awakening, the soundtrack of Link's Awakening, my first game, it wasn't done, like, Koji Kondo didn't even touch the music of that game. It was done by Minako Hamano, a Japanese woman. They didn't like what she did with the music, so they told her to take another project. That project was Metroid, and then she basically did all the music
Wow.
for yeah. So yeah, I wanted to give you guys that little piece of information
You know
because yeah.
what? The disappointment of not having any Carlos facts for Final Fantasy VII and no Carlos facts for Bioshock is kind of patched now with what you just did. So,
This is not a disappointment for me. This is a big win.
That was what
yeah,
I'm trying to do, like, yeah, fixing my errors. So I'm sad now. Okay, so my next game, maybe you guys have it on your list, Persona 5.
I do not.
Okay, Persona
I do
5
not.
doesn't do anything like amazing with the implementation of the music in the game. Like, it's just like good music slapped on a good game. If you like that kind of game, because if you don't like, you'll hate Persona 5. So, like I said, near music is like all in minor keys, and everything is like gloomy and sad. In Persona 5, they do the same thing, but all the minor key songs are happy and all the major keys songs are sad in the Persona 5 music. And you don't even notice. Like, when you hear, I don't know if you guys play the game or know the music, like, if you listen to the music.
I know it's like a acid jazz or
Yeah, it's
jazz.
basically like acid city jazz, or acid jazz. It's like ping, 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 ping. It's like jammy, the music. You should give it a listen just to know what I'm talking about.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So they did this, like, when you start the game, they have this long anime like intro where you meet the cast and everything, and they're dancing because Japan, and you hear the music and you say, like, okay, this is the intro, like if it's an opening for, I don't know, an anime, and you say, okay, this is the opening music, and that's why it's so good. And then you start to play the game, and you find out that every single level has that level of production for the music, and everything is played by real instruments. And it's another of those games that have a lot of songs with vocals. This time it's Japanese or English if you're playing the English version. They did find it's amazing how the Japanese like voice, like the singer in Japanese, and the voice of the English one, it's basically the same. I don't know how they did find that perfect match, but I have not much to say about the music. Basically, it's really really good. It's different because it's like this acid jazz. I don't know, Weather Report, Jamiroquai, something like that. It's not that common in games. In Japanese games, it's more common. You have things like Cassiopeia and they in Japan they do a lot of jazz music and acid jazz music. And in this game, Shohei Meguro, the composer, went like, okay, I want to make a incredible like 50 or 60, I don't remember now, tracks acid jazz album. And that's what he did. And with that touch of the minor songs are happy and the major key songs are sad, it's fresh. So when you listen to the music, it's something maybe you haven't experienced before, and it's a incredible good introduction to Japanese jazz music if you haven't heard like Japanese bands before. And the game is too long, so it's cool to have good music because it gets, I mean, when you're like 70 hours in and you just want to die in the game and outside the game, it's cool to have good music to listen, because I mean, it should be much shorter. It seems like I'm telling you guys to not play Persona, and that's true. Just listen to the music; it's really good. Don't like Persona 5 is too
Now
long.
that now that you mention it, I think that that's a game that I would enjoy. However, I cannot commit 100 hours
Yeah,
to a game. I mean,
it's too much.
it would have to be like Witcher 4 for me to say, okay, I'm gonna do it, but you better, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I know you like Yakuza, and
Yes.
but I mean, they're not that long. I mean, it's similar kind of, you have a lot of activities, and you have hack and slash fight mechanics, no? But in Persona 5 and Persona 4 also, that it's like a day to day, you have a calendar and you're going from a day to another day. So there's a point where you're like, you have to do some activities to the day to pass to the other day, and you just want to advance in the story. You don't want to go to eat a burger with some, I don't know, dating simulator thing kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets difficult.
Yeah. I just wanted to correct you really quickly because you said Yakuza is a hack and slash, and in this case, it would be a punch and kick because there's no hacking and no slashing.
Well, I just played 10 hours. You just spoiled me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now
Really hoping
now I
for
know
that
there's
time.
no swords.
I'm not playing more Yakuza now. You just spoiled me. I really thought I will get the sword.
Oh my god, this is great. Okay, so my next pick is going to be a game very close to my heart and who's actually a fellow South American composer. The game is The Last of Us, and the composer is Gustavo Santaolalla, who is a genius. I mean, he's done work for movies. I believe this may be the only game he has done, although I may be incorrect. What I can say is that this is the highest profile game here that he's done. That's kind of obvious. I mean, even if he had done a Call of Duty, I'm still gonna say that this is the highest one. So I don't care. And yeah, this is a very emotional soundtrack, a very emotional game as well. I mean, this is by far my favorite series from Naughty Dog. I like Uncharted, but I don't feel that it has ever reached any heights for me personally. To me, it's just like a popcorn movie, but a popcorn game, right? Like more or less. The Last of Us is where like to me, their storytelling abilities really like they stepped it up like I don't know 10 notches. They gave us true characters, very well done, and I love the second one as well. Although I'm not gonna go into that because I know that a lot of people have very strong opinions, and
Yeah.
that is okay, great, and that is a topic for another episode because we're already running a little bit short on time. But as far as the soundtrack goes, this is a soundtrack that, to the contrary of what we've been speaking about, like what Carlos has been saying about, I don't know, like Nobuo Uematsu. No, wait, no. He said no. Well, the Nier Automata guy,
Keiichi Okabe.
Okabe, yes, Keiichi Okabe. He has like 100 tracks and all this. Gustavo Santaolalla, sometimes he's like one guitar, one reverb, and that's it. And the fact that he does what he does, he conveys the emotions that he conveys only with that, is truly remarkable. It's like a lesson in less is more. If that was a class, he would be the teacher. I mean, to me. And I've heard podcasts with him and seen how he works in a couple of like behind the scenes. My brain is fucked up. Behind the scenes videos, and he is just like us in terms like he's not a trained musician. He's a guataquero. Just to give a little context into what that is, guataca is when you learn something like self-taught in South America, and that's what he is. He doesn't read music. He doesn't write like writing literally the music. And this is not a knock onto those who do, but the fact that he's where he is and he doesn't have that is like a little bit of hope for others
for
who
us
are
irregulars.
exactly. Not that I think that I have the talent that he has with this, because I don't. But he also has something that this may be a little bit of a Carlos trivia thing, where you know how they teach us in, I don't know, guitar lessons or bass lessons or whatever lessons, whenever you go into the academics part of the music, which is a thing, of course, it's always like, you gotta be clean, there can't be no mistakes. It's very like, he is the total opposite. He is like, I like it when I have mistakes in my takes. When I record a take and then there's a mistake in there, because it gives it more. It gives it a layer of humanity. It gives it a layer of texture that adds, in this case, to The Last of Us. It adds a lot because it's gritty. It's minimalist. It's, I don't know. It's so many things. And I mean, this is like one of my favorite games as well. So I could not think of this game, just like with all the others we've said. I can't think of this game and not think of that music. And I can't listen to this music and not be like enveloped with all these emotions and all these amazing things that I love. So what do you guys think about this? Let's go with Carlos first for a change.
Okay, first, did you like the second one? I just want to know.
I loved the second one.
Okay,
loved it.
Okay,
Carlos has
I
left the
respect
chat.
your opinion. Yeah, I mean, I love the first one, like one of my favorite games ever. I didn't play the second one. I spoiled myself I suck. Yeah, I basically spoiled myself before the game was out, and then basically saw a let's play of all the game in YouTube just to take a part into the conversation, because there was and there's still a conversation about the game. But yeah, I really like the music. It was at the point on my list, and then it was replaced by another game. And what you say about not having to have this super clean, playing, and this, I don't know, almost MIDI like playing, that gives the game identity. Like, it's like you're really listening to someone playing a guitar and not just like a MIDI notes going back and up, back and forth. I remember a video. I'll show you guys that video after this. It's from Victor Wooden. It's a bass player, really good bass player. he has this video where he talks about music as as a language and not as music. So he said, like, when you're learning a new language, um, you're going to make mistakes. And imagine if you're with your little, I don't know, kid, or I don't know, you're with a child and he's learning to speak the language and he makes a mistake. You want, I mean, you embrace that and you use that for him to learn to make better music, to speak better. I just mix everything up. So when musicians are like self-taught, wataquero, like Gustavo San, what's the
Santa Olaya.
Santa Olaya? Okay,
It's kind of a tongue twister, but yeah.
yeah, because Christian, I just was watching the last week Christian podcast, well, a friend of us, and he was like Santoaya, and I was like, I don't think it's Santoaya, but yeah. When musicians are self-taught, they imprint this, like, you don't have to be perfect. You can make mistakes, and classic, like, academic musicians, they have this, you have to practice all the days, you have to 4 hours a day, you don't make mistakes. And I think if you approach the music in a more natural way, like him, you get really emotional pieces, much emotional than these perfectly midi made soundtracks. And I think that's why when you play The Last of Us, you're like, I'm gonna cry just by listening to this guitar.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my intervention.
Carlos moment.
Yeah.
What about you, Sebastian? What do you think about The Last of Us? Did you like The Last of Us 2, first of all? Let me judge you.
Actually, I did. I really did. I actually really enjoyed the game, and I'm not going to speak anymore about it because I know some of you don't. But about the music and that, like, Dave Grohley approach to imperfection that Santolaya has. I'm a big Grohl fan, and I really like embraced all of that. Mistakes are good, and humanity in music is good, but also the Last of Us soundtrack is like this really great masterclass about how choosing the right everything is key for it to work. And I mean the notes, because he doesn't play like this huge flurry of notes and whatever. He just picks them so perfectly and in the right moments for you to feel stuff. That's the goal. Feel stuff. And you're like, damn it, I felt that. And he was like, yeah, I knew it. And also the fact that he just chose like using just a guitar with a very minimal setup. I mean, you're not listening to these huge arrangements or this very overly processed guitar. It's like so minimal, because it also goes with the ambience of the game. It's like what you would hear if you were there. So it also does this the same thingy that I mentioned about Bioshock Infinite, in a way that you're not going to listen to this huge orchestration in the middle of the end of the world by a zombie thingy. No, it's a guitar. And the fact that also in the second game the guitar also plays like a very important role in it, it's a testament and sort of of an acknowledgement of the game designers and storytelling, that to acknowledge that the music in the first one was so important to it, that they made it like a pivotal point on the story in the second one. And that is really really saying something. So I think it's really wise for Santaolalla to do what he did the way as he did it. And I really think that there was not another greater pick for a composer to do that soundtrack for that game. It was such a great pick, and it's marvelously done. And when I go into my next pick, I'm going to circle back into this because he does another thing that I really really like.
Go ahead.
So
It's your
my
turn.
my
Anyway.
my next and last pick, I was going to make it like a hybrid one. I have a huge list of games, honestly, but more than than the game itself, and the great music that there is. I mean, I could go on and on talking about why I really like Mario Kart 64 music so much, but I really wanted to convey these ideas more than the games themselves. Like the first one that I mentioned, Doom, was the modernization of a classic, and how great music plays a big role on bringing some stuff into now. Then we talk about, I don't know, Zelda that does it all well because it does. I don't care. Or creative ways to complement to storytelling. And then you have Bioshock Infinite and maybe Cuphead even in clever's way for it to come full circle. But for my last pick and my last idea to talk about, I picked um, it was a mixture of games, but what I think conveys this idea the most and better is something that Carlos already mentioned, and it is Metroid and the Metroid series and Super Metroid. And this idea that less is more and how you create this huge soundscape with using just the right tools. And maybe you don't need this huge orchestra of people playing and rock music and Guthrie go and doing some crazy shit to really make a game interesting. We have this weird conception of what or at least outside of the gaming community, whatever that means, people, they have this preconception of what game music should be, like 8-bitty or very intense for your shooting, or very fast paced with women singing for a car game or whatever. And in the Metroid series, it's the whole opposite. Sometimes you don't even feel there's music there because technically it is, but it is its job to not be there as music, more as an ambience. So this is what it does. It's some great, cleverly thought out sound design that adapts itself to the world building, and it creates this atmosphere around something that could make a game and lift it to a point that it goes beyond anything the game designers and the mechanics and is score points or upgrades or fights or whatever could have ever done. And that's something that, why is Metroid such an influential game beyond its level design and map and whatever other things that make Metroid and Castlevania for what it is, as great games as they are? Music, it was a very like first ish for gaming, the thing that Metroid did, and it blew us away. And then we completed the game, and Samus was a woman, and it blew us again. It destroyed us. It was amazing. So Metroid is this really important way to reminding us that music is more than just music in a game. Music in video games serves a lot of purposes. And one of them, in this case, is to immerse you deeply into that deep rabbit hole that is gaming and the game, and how, I mean, maybe you cannot even hum or sing one of the Metroid themes, but holy hell, if you listen to it, you know that's Metroid, and you know what it does to you, and you remember what it was to explore and run like hell because you were about to die, or finding some weird shit that was floating and eating your face or whatever. So, I mean, one game to close my idea that really also does this really good, and I know it might be like a sore point for maybe Juan, but I think these specific tidbits that does the thing on Breath of the Wild, they do it so well. Those little two-note piano, tling, you're like, I mean,
You're like, what the hell?
yeah, and you're like, I mean, yeah, I recognize this as music, I guess, but what it does is, in that very little tidbit of notes, it's conveying so much, it's expressing so much about the game, about the vastness of it, about how you have not even gone 10% of the map, and you know it's huge. So that's something that I really really enjoy. I mean, I enjoy the Biochocks and the Mario Karts and the Zeldas. But when games do this, also, it's like, this is so good. And from a couple of years, I guess, or some short time from to now, I've been really, really paying attention to music and what it's trying to tell me or what it's adding to this game. I've been playing, for example, Deathloop, and I think the music is really good. But what is the music in Deathloop trying to say? What is trying to express, and how is putting you in a place? Is it just like fun music for combat and boring music, or is it really like maybe some spy themes, and maybe there are some things you don't know yet, and the music is trying to tell you that, and maybe there's a big plot twist coming at the end. I have not arrived there yet, but I mean, that is the power of video game music. And that is my closing thought for it overall for this episode. Music on video games is like as important and as big as any other aspect, gameplay, graphics if you are one of those people, or voice acting, or character design or level design. I mean, the music plays such a huge part of it. And if you don't believe me, go and play Red Dead Redemption 2. That soundtrack is going to fucking destroy you. So yeah, that's my pick, Metroid.
Okay, before we go to Carlos' last pick, I just wanna sing you guys a little something, and you guys tell me if you recognize it. Okay, it's just three
He's
notes.
about to sing it right.
Yeah, he is.
Ba 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 ba, and those are not three notes. Those are those are five notes.
He not only did Metroid, but we now know that Juan does not know how to count.
Exactly.
It's like 2, 4.
But do you guys know what that is?
Yeah, of course.
I don't.
Okay, okay. But have you played Metroid before?
Yeah, I.
Okay. What is it, Sebastian?
I know it's from Metroid, but I don't remember if the thing when you save or when you get an upgrade. One of those two.
When you save.
Yeah.
The newest Metroid game, Metroid Dread, is amazing. My only knock against it is that it doesn't have that music when I save.
Boo!
I need to play it. So,
I know it sounds stupid, but it really disappointed me. Really disappointed me. Okay, Carlos, you have the floor, my friend.
okay, great. I'm really glad the last game Sebastian picked was Metroid and everything he said, because my last game also goes around about how the ability of music to take you into the game, how that's really really important for us as players. My game is World of Warcraft. And why is my game World of Warcraft? Back when we didn't have smartphones, and basically you played your games on when you were at home. If you're at work or at school, you didn't have like any way to keep connecting with the game you're playing. Now you have like social media and companion apps. I mean, in Destiny, I'm at work like checking my gear, you know. And back in that time, you couldn't do that. So for me, as a kid at that moment at school, my way to keep connected to these people I was playing when I was at, when I was playing, because this was people I didn't know in real life. I mean, it was people from Argentina, Chile. They are friends now, and we did meet in real life after some years. But when I was at school, like in the breaks, I put my USB empty MP3. Remember the little ones with, yeah, that kind of MP3 thingy. And I used to listen to the music of Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, the second the only two expansions that I played. And for me, it was like a way to that anxiety of I want to get home and play with my friends. I could take that, put that into a little USB stick, and take that wherever I went. And when I listened to the music of the game, it was like I was playing with my friends, and that's how I feel. And still today, I have like 10 years without playing World of Warcraft, but when I hear the music of the Burning Crusade, of the Wrath of the Lich King, that two expansions, I still get that sense of calm, and like I'm playing with my friends. I don't know. I'm a kid. I'm in school. I don't have any responsibility, but that it's a weekend. I can go on and turn off my computer and put the settings of video quality low enough so I can run this game and play with my friends with my ADSL connection, like 600 ping, sometimes more. But it was really really nice for me, and I really like it. And I didn't have a lot of friends at school. Like I had like a tiny, like I don't know, two friends that were close to me, but I wasn't that this like social guy at school. But in the game I had like 20, 30 friends. We had a clan, so it was a form to me, like a way for me to feel like really close to other people, even though I didn't knew them in real life. Fast forward, I went like 4 years ago to the wedding of two of the guys of that guild in World of Warcraft. So basically, yeah, they're having a kid now, and they met in that same clan guild in World of Warcraft. And of course, the wedding was all World of Warcraft theme with the potions, and it was really, really, really cool. A really awesome experience, and the music, it's so well done. The last expansion, Grant Kirkhope, the composer of Banjo, he did the music of the last expansion of World of Warcraft. So the music is really like, it's so well done that when you listen to the music by itself, it's like it takes you to the universe and to the game itself. And 10 years have passed and I still have that feeling. So that's why World of Warcraft is my last pick, because music in games have this ability to take you from wherever you are to the game, even when you're not playing the game. So yeah, that's basically it.
That's a great point, man. I love that you guys have had so thoughtful conclusions, because I don't think I'm gonna have one as thoughtful as that. But I did want to tell you, I did want to ask you also. I don't know what is it, Oscar Carlos, Oscarlos. That's your name.
Carlos can be a
No, you said that the Banjo Kazooie guy is doing the latest expansion from World of Warcraft.
yeah.
Does this mean one of the new updates is that when you talk to someone, it's like,
I hope so. That will make me go back to play World of
Hey,
Warcraft.
I've never played World of Warcraft, but if that happens, I will play it.
Little extra fact here about the voice of the characters in Banjo. They're all, of course, done by Grant, like talking,
Okay.
and more than a few are actually pretty wrong. Like really, really, really bad takes and sentences, like even sexual in some cases. And they did that to Nintendo, and Nintendo didn't even notice. Like, you know.
These are the
And
same people that made Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
so basically, yeah, they did. I mean, they had so much fun making the game and everything. So when you use the Mumbo Jumbo's power, when you go in and use the power, basically what Grant is speaking on the microphone is, "Oh, my balls," but modified.
Wow.
Yeah, basically. So yeah,
I love it.
and that's all, like from start to finish of the game. And so let us know what's your final take.
Absolutely. I will send you a video to both of you that it's like a scene from The Simpsons, but it's done with that same audio thing. So it's like, do. It's awesome. I'll send it to you guys. So my last pick, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because it's my podcast. So fuck you guys. No, I'm kidding. I love you guys. I'm not gonna do a game. I do have another game that I wanted to speak about, but we're short on time. It was Hades. Darren Korb did that amazing soundtrack, amazing game. Please check it out. It's on Game Pass. So, but my last pick is not gonna be a game. It's gonna be a composer, because this is one of my favorite composers in modern. I feel like that this guy, along with Darren Korb, the Hades guy, the super giant guy, those two are one of the best new guy composers, if that makes sense. I mean, they're kind of more or less our age. They're perhaps 36 or something like that, but I still consider that new, because I mean, we're talking about Nobuo Uematsu, who's like and Koji Kondo. I mean, those guys are like titans. So this guy's Austin Wintory. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's an American composer. He's done Journey, he's done Abzu, he's done The Pathless, the Banner Saga. He did Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which I know that I shit on Ubisoft a lot because they deserve it. But in this case, they made a great choice for a composer, because this guy, the reason why I chose him instead of a game, or let's say one of his games, is because I believe, and this may be controversial with games like Journey, that his soundtracks turn out to be, for me personally, better than the games that they inhabit. And this is not to say that the games are bad in any way, because I loved The Pathless, I loved Abzu. Journey is an amazing experience that I think everybody should have. I did not play Aliens Fireteam Elite. Assassin's Creed, it's Assassin's Creed. The Banner Saga, I have not played either, but this guy, like the range he has, I just mentioned Journey and Aliens in the same sentence. And we're talking about aliens like the James Cameron aliens, right? Like this guy can do horror, can do action, can do amazing indie, super emotional soundtracks, and they always have such an identity. Like to me, his soundtracks are always a character within the games, especially when they're indies like Absu and The Pathless. And without those characters, quote unquote, these games would be. I mean, I know I've said this about like for every pick I've made, but they wouldn't be even half of what they are. So I just had to give my boy Austin Wintry a shout out because I love his work. Every time I know he's in a game, I know that a lot of people say like a composer doesn't sell a game. Well, to this guy, it kind of does. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm gonna necessarily play everything because, for example, the Banner Saga, I'm not really interested in that kind of genre or Aliens Fireteam Elite either. But for example, The Pathless is a game that I maybe wouldn't have played if Austin Wintry wasn't in it. And I ended up loving it. I recommend it. And yeah, this is a guy that's truly, as I said, one of the great talents. One of the, let's say, new wave of amazing games composers. And also, I have to clarify, he's done like tons of movies. So he's not like a games composer exclusively. And along with, I have to shout out as well Sarah Schachner. I don't know if you know who she is. She did Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. She did the one recent Call of Duty.
What's her name?
She did Sarah Schachner. I'll send you her name. And she also did a game that I know is pretty contentious. What's the name of this game? Anthem. You know that game? Well, that game, you can say whatever you want about the game, but the soundtrack is like amazing. And she does like synthy things. She has like you know those people that are insane that have like a wall filled with synths and they like patch it in and weird things. She's one of those, and she's like,
I have one.
Oh, there you go. You're another one of those nuts. And so she's like another one of those amazing ones. The only reason why I didn't include her here is because my examples are like Assassin's Creed games, which I have this with, and then also Call of Duty, like Call of Duty, and then Anthem is like also like really weird. But she's truly amazing, like one of the best talents out there. And I don't know if you guys have anything to say about Austin. If you haven't check him out, check his games out because you'll not be disappointed.
I am just happy that we didn't close this episode without mentioning Journey. I felt bad leaving it behind, but I also have 50 more games that I feel bad leaving behind. So, but Journey is one of those games that is half the music and half the whole concept of the game. I mean, in my category is in the same place as Cuphead and Bioshock Infinite. How the music is saying so much about how the game is made. It's like they made the music and then they said, you know what, we could make a game out of this. What does this represent you? Vastness and emptiness. Like, okay, sad game it is. Empty game. Let's go. That's great. Journey is such an incredible experience. It's such a peaceful one. And I've only felt that way when I was playing. This is a mobile game, but it was like, shit, I forgot the name. Fuck, no, I cannot be this kind of person. Is this mobile game that plays with perspective and impossible geometry that is also very minimal sound?
Fez.
What?
Fez? It's not
no.
Fez, right?
No,
Monument Valley.
Monument Valley, yes! Yeah. That game gave me the same feelings as Journey and the soundtrack in that game. And it's really cool that it is a mobile game and it has such a great sound design, soundtrack, sound thingy, the beautiful graphic design it has. Those experiences are awesome, and they are only complemented by the music they have in it. And music as a universal language, you don't have to know music to feel sad when you hear a combination of note or happy or triumphant when you finally get the hookshot instead of the compass. I mean, that's what's so powerful about music. I mean, that music conveys like grandiousness and triumph, and you don't know music, and that's okay. And I really love it. And this episode, when you invited, and I wanted to say thanks for it. It was really, for me, very special because of it. Because I realize in a way that music has been very important for me in video games, and in a way that I didn't know, and in a way that I really don't know much about music as a whole in studies and whatever, but the feeling it brings in joy and sadness and things, it's so powerful, and I love it, and I love every iteration, every option, every choice that we've made today because of it.
Any closing thoughts, Carlos?
Um, well, basically, both of you guys already told everything I was about to tell, but just again, thank you for inviting me. Also, this is something I mean, I've never talked like in a podcast or anything like this. I always talk about the things I like with my friends, and that's it. So this is really nice experience for me. I just wanted to know you guys if you're comfortable with this. Like, let's say each of or five picks, fast, like ta 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 ta, the ones that didn't make it to the list. Like
Oh, okay.
at least five. I could go like 30, yeah, but
Okay.
at least five to close like this segment of music, with talking about music with friends. So for me, one will be Celeste, the game. Lena Ryan, it's the one. She's the one that made the music. Stardew Valley, Undertale, also. And those three games
Toby
are like in
Fox.
the same, the same kind of music. And the other two, Star Fox, and the other Sonic. And that are my five games I sadly left outside of my top picks. And you guys?
How about you, Sebastian? Go first. Only
Um,
five, he said. Only
yeah,
five.
Five.
this is another sad moment for me because now I have games that didn't make it to the list, that didn't make it to the main list. So I'm gonna go on all out depression after this episode. But for me, it would be Mario 64, Super Mario Galaxy. I mean, oh, that soundtrack is so good. Um, I'm gonna go with God of War for the PS4. I'm gonna go with Mario Kart 64 because what a great soundtrack also. And I'm gonna piggyback on the Sonic one, but specifically, and I had it written as a honorable mention, specifically Sonic Adventure Battle 2. That soundtrack, holy crap! It is
Yeah,
so good. It is kind of corny if you listen to it now. I mean, the
I don't
lyrics are
care.
like the lyrics are whatever, but I mean they're super corny. But in the context of the game, or even when you're listening to the music by itself, it is so good, and it brings me to the feeling of speed and adrenaline that Sonic Adventure 2 gave me on the GameCube. It changed me. It was so good. So Juan, what are your five picks?
So my five picks, my friends, are one. It's kind of hard to narrow it down to a game, but it's Halo and Martin O'Donnell and what he has done, because I I thought I was not as much a big of an Xbox guy, but now with the Series X and with the 360, which I was head first into, I realized that I have more love for Halo than I thought I did, and that love is many things that have to do with gameplay, but the soundtrack. I mean, there's no way that game would also be what it is without that soundtrack and those like percussions that it has, like trukutu, pra, pra, tukutu. It's like so awesome, and it's also weird to think about chants and percussion and how it melts together so awesomely. And also, I gotta say, Halo 2 has part of the soundtrack is like Incubus and other rock bands,
Really?
which yes, and it's one track that is, sorry, it's like two tracks that are like, one is like 15 minutes long and the other one's like 13. Like, it's really long tracks. They did like a kind of a prog thing there, and it's kind of amazing because I mean those are not the ones that you would think, right? So it's weird. So next one for me. You mentioned God of War. I was also gonna say God of War. However, you said God of War, the PS4 one, which is the ha ha he, and that was amazing. But I'm talking about God of War 3, like chun 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 chun, and that one, my friends. I mean, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just trying to give variety because you already said PS4. Then Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 has a soundtrack that I know that she's not credited in the soundtrack, but we all know it's Shakira, right? we all know that's her. That's her. I mean, we know it.
It's her.
It's her. Of course it's her. Of course. Then I wrote here the Soulsborne series, and I know that's kind of a cop-out because it's like 4 games in there, but the way these guys, especially, I mean, I know that Carlos said, and he's right about like the ambience, and that's true, but I have a playlist in Spotify where I add my favorite ones, and I have the Dark Souls 3 and the Bloodborne thing, and every time a track comes on, I have to skip it because it's so stress-inducing, because I remember whatever boss we're talking about. It can be any of them, and that's not something pleasant. I mean, I love it when I have the controller in my hand and I'm killing something, but when I'm trying to listen to music for concentration, that's kind of the opposite of what it does. So the how they imbue stress and hell with those notes is just amazing. And then one that I'm sure it's not on anybody's list, but I just love it so much because it's Hans Zimmer. Crisis 2, my friends. That soundtrack, check it out because it's truly amazing. Hans Jose Raul Zimmer did that one, okay? So check it out. And guys, I have to thank you because I mean, I would love to because I know we all have like one pick that we didn't get to pick because this just sprang out of control and I have to get going. But I love that you guys came here. I thank you so much for being here because this episode, I had my expectations high. Like, this is the edge of the screen, right? Like, they were high, but what you guys did went up to here. So, high praise. High praise, my friends.
No, it was a blast. It was a blast.
No, it was so fun. I was not expecting Carlos to give so much cool insight about sound design. It was amazing. And maybe we'll do something similar in the future because I think you guys are amazing at this podcasting thing. And I just had too much of a good time. I mean, this was one of the most fun episodes I've done. And I've done like 5.
57 according to the thing.
Exactly. I've done 57. It's right there on the title or up or it's somewhere in there.
It was a blast, dude. And thank you.
Yes, and also really awesome. Please check out. I will put your guys' contacts, whether it's Twitter or Instagram. Please check out Sebastián's channel, Mucho Bueno Gear. It's really amazing. It's in Spanish, but if you're learning Spanish, and if you're not, listen to it anyway, because it's truly great. He gives some great insight into those things. And where can people find you, Malbañat?
Basically, I mean, I do have like a webpage I'm working on with, it's like sound design oriented, but it's a work in process because my reel, it's not done yet because I don't have much time to work on it. So I think at the moment it's just on Twitter, like Malbañat. That's basically me.
That is awesome.
Awesome,
Let's
guys.
finish it soon.
Also, I have to say a last little thing. Hans Zimmer played the keyboard on Mecano. And you can find it. I mean,
is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. But wait, like one song or
no. Yeah, he went like on tour playing the keyboard on Mecano.
That is
you can find the videos and with the synthesizers and that's it. That I had to tell that. Yeah.
Ba-dang, 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 ba-dang.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, guys, if you enjoyed this very long but very amazing episode, please subscribe. Recommend it to your friends, to your grandma, your girlfriend, your musician friends, your gamer friends, everybody. And have them subscribe, have them share with their grandmas and their girlfriends and all those people. And then we'll have like a paid forward kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's not expansive, it's exponential. That's the word. Exponential, viral, horrible thing of spreading these messages around. And we'll see you on the next episode of the podcast next week.
Bye.